If you want to build a career as a licensed artist or freelance surface pattern designer, you need to get comfortable with sending out your artwork to potential clients and pitching your work. This is the part of the job that most artists really dislike, and I'm regularly trying to tell y'all that the more you do it, the less scary it is, and that it is generally part of the job description. Yes, there are other ways to get work besides pitching. You can start an Etsy shop or a spoonflower shop and build it to a point that art directors discover you online. You can post your art to Instagram and Pinterest regularly and hope that somebody notices. And at some point they probably will. But if you want to be proactive and get yourself to a point of making a livable wage efficiently, direct pitching to clients and licensees is the way to go. So, beyond the mental hurdle of sending out a pitch, there are some practical hurdles as well. Namely, what do you write and what do you include? I've already made a video giving you some tips on what to write, so I will link that in the description. But today I'm going to give you a few guidelines on what to consider when choosing artwork to send. Tip number 1, choose art that aligns with the company and market. Above all else, you have to be sure you're sending art that makes sense for the company that you're pitching to. If everything you see on the company's website and products is hand-painted, detailed floral illustrations, and you send your most recent computer-generated abstract textures, you are wasting everyone's time. So researching before pitching, it is time-consuming, and depending on the company and their visibility online, it can require some serious detective work. So I totally understand why you might try to gloss over this part, but it's going to save you time in the long run. Look for the company's products on their website or on social media, and make sure what you choose to send them is the same general wheelhouse. If you're not sure, pull 4 pictures of their art and put them on a page, and then add yours into the lineup. Get an outside opinion if you need to. See if they actually line up, right? Tip number 2, send hero art that cannot be done in-house. Most companies have some sort of in-house designer on staff. It might not be a surface designer, it might be a graphic designer, it might be a packaging designer, but somebody in the company probably knows how to use Adobe Illustrator, or at least a search for Shutterstock images, right? If you are sending images that can be recreated by searching Shutterstock in 2 seconds, or that can be remade by just doing 10 minutes by an in-house designer, you are not going to be attracting yourself and making yourself seem as valuable as I'm sure that you are. So be sure that you're sending hero images that show off the skill that you have for thinking of clever ideas, putting things into a nice repeat, having a good layout skills, having good drawing skills, all that type of stuff. Tip number 3, send 1 to 2 coordinates in most cases, even for fabric pitching. I recommend, sort of similar to what I just said in tip number 2, you want to show off your best work, your most detailed work, your most thought through work. And when you create a large collection of, 6 to 10 designs, usually the last 3 or 4 are getting pretty simple. They're little marks, they're little dots, they're little stripes. They're not super, super detailed work. And again, it's something that an in-house designer could potentially create. And I do like to show that I'm not a one-trick pony. Like when I send my artwork, I don't usually just send a single print with no coordinate. I want to show my skill set. I want to show I understand what coordinates are, how they work, what makes a good coordinate. But I also want to show that I am a skilled designer, and I don't need to kind of waste my time by showing all 12 images in a collection. And I don't even make collections that big at this point. One exception that people talk about a lot is fabric companies, pitching to fabric companies, because quilting fabric, a lot of times there are 12 coordinates in a collection. And so if you're pitching to fabric companies, you might feel like you need to show all of them. My advice on that front is maybe you put one page, one JPEG that shows a full collection, but beyond that, show 3, 4 designs per page of a collection most. Because when you're showing all 12 designs on a page, or 10 designs, or even 7 designs, boxes are getting pretty small, you know, unless you have a massive file, which you don't want to send through email. Things are getting pretty small, right? And again, you want to be able to see the artwork that you're creating. You want it to be really clear. So if all your pages have 7 prints on them, not only are you showing off prints that, again, are probably pretty simple when you get towards the end, but also you're doing a disservice to your hero prints, because they have to be in a smaller box. They have to be, you know, you're not being able to show them off as much. So that is why I recommend, on the whole, sending 1 or 2 coordinates and just showing off that you can do more than the single print, but not making every single print that you've created for the collection, if you've created a large collection, not showing that off to the art director. Tip number 4, scale your work to show your artistry. So this is similar to what I was just talking about for tip number 3. If you are showing your work on a JPEG, you want to be able to see your artwork. I see this all the time. I see people's websites and I see people's contact sheets and sales sheets and stuff where they have a block on a page, which, let's say it's 8 by 6, right, inches, and they scale a print down so small that you can see like 4 repeats of the print. So for example, let's say it's a dinosaur print. You can see the T-Rex that's up in the corner 4 different times, and it's so small that when it's scaled down, each little T-Rex is like this big and each little Stegosaurus is like this big, and it's really hard to see how cute those dinosaurs are. You know, you can't see all the images that you've put together if you shrink it down to see the repeat 2 or 3 times. You don't even need to show a full repeat. You can show less than a full repeat. Make sure that an art director who's seeing your art can easily see how well you drew that dinosaur, or how adorable that mermaid is, or how lovely and beautiful those florals are that you do. Don't shrink it down so that all you can see is a little tiny ditzy something or other, right? Scale it up. That is an important one. Finally, number 5. Potentially include a mock-up or 2. Now, you do not have to have mock-ups, but think about if you're pitching to a company that has a product that isn't very flat art, right? Okay, so if it's a greeting card, you don't have to mock up a greeting card, because basically if you're showing a JPEG of a 5 by 7 art, that's pretty much what a greeting card looks like at the end of the day anyways, right? You don't necessarily have to mock up a fabric design, because again, if you're showing a page that has a repeating pattern, that's basically what fabric looks like as well. But if you're pitching to a company that does potentially mail welcome mats, or if they do dinnerware, or if they do phone cases or something like that, you can make it a little bit easier for the art director by doing 1 or 2 mock-ups. If you're not a mock-up expert, I totally understand, and I recommend CreateC. They make these awesome mock-ups for any product, and they look super realistic. And if you check the link in my description, you can hit up my affiliate link and I will get a little kickback, but I recommend these products to everyone because they make everything look so beautiful. So I like to do this by having a page of my art that you can see really clearly, really flat, and then in the corner adding a little mock-up that's smaller of, let's say, the phone case or the welcome mat or whatever it is, the journal. Okay, so that means they can see the art super clearly, but then they get the idea of what it might look like on a product. So those are my 5 tips for choosing artwork and making your artwork look as good as possible before you send it out and get that client work. Good luck.
Be sure to subscribe for this channel for updates, like, and share this video if you found it helpful. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on Instagram at esilverdesign.